Oops. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me tweak this a little. I'm rusty at this. If you can let me know if you can hear me. I know you can see because I can see that part. So, but I have to keep the volume down on my computer, so I don't always know if you can hear me. All righty. So I know there's a few people waiting. Oh, yay. Katie said she can hear me. All righty. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Okay, let me get this straight and so that it doesn't move around on me. I'm going to put some tape under it. This is a low budget operation, just like it was 15 years ago. So, bear with me here. I'm still the same me. So, welcome, Malin from Sweden. Little hockey stick tape. Alrighty, so I've got the muted hockey game on because they're actually playing outdoor hockey in Seattle today, and I wasn't paying attention to what time the game was going to be on and what time I was doing this show. So, it's halftime, so we're good. Or not halftime, and I've been watching football the last couple days, can you tell? So it's end of the first period. Seattle's in the lead. Yes. So, anyway, it's been a year since I've done a live stream. So I'm really rusty. I'm not used to having to just chatter any longer. And prior to that, I hadn't done many. So it does feel good to be back. I will say this, I don't guarantee it, but I'm going to be starting to try to do my regular Friday night live streams like we did so many years ago. I was a regular on Friday nights. And I'm planning at this point, I'm not guaranteeing anything because I'm not going to push myself because I don't want to fall into my black hole again. But I'm looking at doing the second and fourth Fridays. I haven't determined the specific time, so I have to keep your eyes out for that part. But I'm looking at doing the second and fourth Fridays. On that note, I'm also looking into there's all sorts of new streaming cameras, platforms, things like that. So I'm looking into that so that we can get back to where you're not just looking at my hands, that which I keep moving around so it hasn't frozen, so that I can flip cameras. I did that for 10 years to where I could flip cameras, but then my laptop that I used, which was on Windows, died. And I was using some of Trevor's game streaming software in those days, but I needed it to be on a Windows computer and I just couldn't justify buying an entire laptop for that. So I bought a Chromebook, but it won't let me use that and it only works on Windows. It's a long story because I have all Apple computers. So there's now all these, as things change and I started in the Wild West when we had nothing, and now there's all these things, and I have to do a little research and figure out just what I want to do. So I didn't think on yesterday was the day to do all that. So I said, we're just going to do it the same old fashioned way. And YouTube is really used to be so much easier. Now it's much more complicated to stream. So I had to spend 45 minutes already this morning making sure I was on camera, all that kind of good stuff. I'm also not used to having to talk and read the chat at the same time. So bear with me. So first off, thank you to my nearest and dearest friend, Pam, for being in ad for me today. Hopefully we won't have trolls because I think I told her how to boot them, but I'm not sure. So, also, yes, Candy, happy belated birthday. I did see that you did have a crash on your birthday. I'm so sorry on that. So, I'm sure you look absolutely delightful with black eyes. So, um, anyway, um, yeah, Saturday was my mom's birthday. That was a hard day to get through. And I'm just going to put this out here in the very beginning, and then I can let it go, and I don't have to get all emotional like I can feel myself getting already. I did lose my mom on the 5th of July this year, and it was that was tough. It still is. This holiday season was rough. I admit it, and it's moving into a new year that she won't be in is challenging, and we've all lost people in recent years. I know of many people who've lost parents, and it's tough. But I have her strength and I'll get through it all. So anyway, okay, I've got through that, so I can now let that go and we'll move on from there. So anyway, what we're going to be working on today and in the next few of the live streams that I do, we're going to be working on this book that I have shown. And this is and my brain goes dead. The Stack, Tuck, and Roll book. Now, this book was originally designed. I was supposed to teach in Calgary in June of 2020. So this book was actually designed for me to teach when I went up there. Needless to say, border was quite definitely closed at that point. So, and it just never got rescheduled. So this book has been sitting here complete and ready to go since early in 2020 when I put the sample together. So it will be fun to revisit it. It's been fun revisiting and getting it all ready to go. I had I didn't have the video stuff done, but I had all of the dimensioning and all this stuff ready to go. So it wasn't too much to put this all together. But another reason why I decided to go ahead and do this one is because I had a sample done that was done in the more quote unquote traditional style of doing albums. And what I'm going to be doing during the live streams is decorating or embellishing, I guess is a better word, embellishing the book in a more junk style, art style, that kind of thing. The big thing right now in paper crafting is doing junk journaling and that sort of thing. Not shocking to me because I've known, it's been this year, 2024, it's 15 years since I started in paper crafting and doing mini albums. I started in 2009 after my son was diagnosed, and he's an adult now. He's given me permission to talk about all this kind of thing. He has a pretty significant generalized anxiety disorder and depression. And as we have found out in the last few years, he also has pretty severe ADHD. All of that has made for some challenging times over the years. But I had a whole lot of things going on with my quilting at that time that I had to give up. I was supposed to be writing a book. I was supposed to design a fabric line. There was all sorts of things that I had to give up in order to give him the support that he needed. And I will never, ever regret doing that. But it was very hard to continue with my quilting when I had to give up all of those things. So I started, one day I went out to my husband, said, you need to just get out of the house. So because I was like rudderless, creativity wise. So I ended up in a paper crafting store scrapbooking store not far from where I live, and they had a free Thursday night mini album class each week. So I started going to those. The first one, the lady had all of her dimensions all messed up, and I just quietly fixed all of the dimensions and, shared them with those at my table, but I kept it quiet. I didn't wanna, embarrass her or anything, but everybody's like, "Well, you should be doing this." Well, I developed a love for mini albums at that point, and that's how I got started. I was also doing some genealogy at that point, and the very first complete book that I did was about my dad. Um, and that's deep in the depths of my blogs and stuff like that. That there's been I've posted it a couple times. So, but that's how I got started on mini albums. I fell in love with the medium. I love it. As time progressed on, um, just through everything going on with my life, and I'm just gonna kind of give a quick synopsis, and then we'll get rolling. Um, Everything that was going on with my life, my son started playing hockey. And with that, I had a lot of time away from home when he was in travel hockey. Then he played in Arizona and he played in New Hampshire. And during that time frame, I was away from home about 4 months of the year in support of him in doing these things. It was challenging to keep juggling and keep everything moving. He came home and it's kind of like I could let down finally. And that's when I just went down into burnout is real. It really honestly is trying to juggle keeping this business going that I never planned, as well as support for my son and also my daughter and her health needs. So I crashed pretty deep to where, as Pam can know, because she was the one I talked to so often. Um, Pam, as she will know, that I was not in a great place because my what kept me was my creative stuff, and I I'm forcing it. I'm trying to make it, and that just made it worse. So it got kind of a little that was kind of scary, but I managed to crawl out of it, and I was just kind of getting to the edge of that dark hole when the pandemic hit, and along with that, with everybody, that came with its own set of challenges and stuff. So it's been a long battle trying to kind of. I've come up to the edge of the black hole a few times, even sat on the edge a couple times thinking, "Okay, this is over with, I can move forward," and it didn't necessarily, but for the first time, I feel like I'm kind of finally standing on starting to take steps away from the black hole, and so I thought that would be a good time. Um, Over the course of the last few years, some of the things I worked on were I've done a lot of art journaling, but then I've done art journaling way back since high school. So that's something I've always done. I rarely share some of those that kind of journaling because that is 100% for me, and I don't share that on social media and stuff like that. So through all of this, there's some really dark pages in that. I still would do some of that. And that's I think what kind of kept me completely sane. Um, but in the last few years, I've been, playing around with the junk journaling, just like everybody has. It's or so many have, because art, arts and crafts go through cycles. Scrapbooking was really big with the 12 by 12s, and then everybody went to mini albums. Well, then, as we know, the albums just kept getting larger and larger and larger, and so, but as I got off track from as I can attest to, so many of them, myself 100% included, of these so many of these books, we didn't put photos in them. We made them beautiful, we made them amazing with all the embellishments, but I don't know, I don't put a whole lot of, uh, photos in them. Um So, the art journaling and the junk journaling seemed fun, and it was. I enjoyed it. I will say I probably enjoyed looking for the junk at, like, the antique stores and stuff like that than I did actually, using the stuff. So, um, But I did enjoy I enjoyed making the books. I enjoyed making the covers, but I have a lot of journals that have not much inside. And I finally came to the realization just a few weeks ago. I go, I don't like doing journals. They have too many pages. As many of you know, I have a million albums, millions of them, I swear, because I used to do shows 3 days a week, 2 hours each show. And I can't even count the number of projects. And I would usually do 2 to 3 samples because I'd always have a couple of versions. So I have lots and 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 lots of books that don't get finished. And those don't have a lot of pages. Now, my typical books have 4, 5, or 6 pages. Now, there's more real estate than just the page in these because they have flaps and flips and pockets and all that kind of stuff. But I kept wanting to do that kind of stuff also on the journal pages when I couldn't seem to control myself, and I would make, like 40, 50-page journals, and then I would want to embellish on each of those pages. I don't have enough years left to do that. So I've decided, I don't really like making journals all that much, but I like the process, the the junk process or the art process, the mixed media stuff on the books. I don't have enough photos from my lifetime or my children to fill all these books that I have, but I love the process of making them. So I'll start designing books again. I no guarantees about 3D at this point, but I'll start designing some books again. But they're going to be art albums or junk albums rather than art journals or junk journals. So you just take art and junk and put album in the end rather than journal. So this is a scrapbook album. And then I'm going to be embellishing in class using the exact same pieces, parts, and pages to make a more of a junk album. So does that make sense? So hopefully that makes sense. So, using the same kind of process, but it's a whole lot less pages. So I'm going to be calling them art albums and junk albums and not journals. Does that sound good to everybody? Because and you can do, if you would rather do it in the more traditional matting and, measuring and matting, absolutely 100% you can do that. And that's what I want to design these new books. And to be honest, the vast, vast majority, probably 99% of my old tutorials can be done in this same fashion, and we'll do some of those. So, so we're gonna, you, so those of you who want to do a traditional scrapbook that you want to put pictures in, you can do that. For those of you who want to do them in more of a junker art style, mixed media style, you can do that using the exact same pattern. And you can use so many of the patterns that you already have. So you don't have to invest into the new ones if you don't want to. I prefer the binding of doing albums. I can use my Stack the Deck and the 5,000 other types of bindings that I've played with over the years. We'll even do some combined stuff, but I'm just not a journal girl, and I've finally come to that conclusion and admit it. So there we are. So anyway, let's walk through this one a little bit more closely. I did a quick video on Instagram. I did a quick video on YouTube, and so we can go through it in a little bit, more detail. Now, the paper that I used on these are some of my papers from back 2019, 2020, which are Garden Gatherings and Fairy Lights. And those both are available. Also, all of my digital stuff, I put it on 20% off a year and a half ago, and I just never have taken it off. So If you like this paper, by all means, if you have this paper, great, you can use it. If you have any of the other digitals, use those. What I love about using the digital papers is you can print as much as you need. These were both of these collections had a lot of tags and stuff in them, so uh, I was able to use that within this book, and they coordinated together. But you can use whatever you want. If you have, as we all know, we all have quite large stashes, or at least I do. I can give absolutely any one of you a run for your money in terms of your stash. And I know that quite well because after I cleaned out my mom's room at the assisted living, I continued in that same mode as part of my grieving process, I think. Um, I decided I was giving up the studio that I've been in since we moved into this house in 2004. So 19 years in that same studio. I decided I would switch rooms with my son. So right now I'm in the downstairs, what was his bedroom, and this is my paper crafting studio. And what was my kit packing studio is now my kit packing and my sewing studio because I've gotten also back into my quilting. 2024 marks 40 years. God, that makes me just my heart palpitate. 40 years since I made my first quilt. So during the course of this coming year, you're going to see paper crafting out of me, but you're also going to see quilting out of me because I'm working to converge the two into integrate both of them back into my life. So um, some of those Fridays, we may be doing some sewing stuff. You never know. So anyway, so anyway, how this one works is it's a very long book, and it rolls and flips over, and that's where the roll part of the stack, tuck and roll, and it's got two sections, stack the deck sections in it. That's where the stack part comes in. And then it's got all sorts of pockets and places to tuck things in, hence the tuck. So we've got the stack, we've got the tuck, and we've got the roll. And that's where the name came from. So, and again, for those of you who know me and been around for a bit, I'm notorious for trying to make things that are simple look really complicated. So then you can get everybody's just thinking, wow, you put a lot of work into this when you know it and you can smile to yourself that it was a lot easier than it looks, but they don't need to know that. So so this is one way that I can include some journal type stuff into my book if I choose to. Is a lot of my paper collections have these a little bit larger pieces, and so you can turn these into places where you can do actual journaling, or you can do junk journaling inside of these, and then these just can slip into a pocket. So that's a way to incorporate some of that. As you know, I also love doing all sorts of closures. I have too many small critters in my home for me to be comfortable having magnets, especially we have two new kittens. We lost Tigger, one of our older cats, um, very suddenly passed on last June. And so we got these two new kittens um, about a week later, not to replace Tigger, but I have found by getting another cat or pet that it helps soften the grieving process. And it actually, in the long run, they saved me when my mom passed. So, um, but it turns out these cats were part Maine Coon and they're large. You can't see my hands. Especially the male. It's a brother and a sister, litter mates, and they are so cute. And I'll have to, I can't put them on camera because they won't show. Once I have a different camera, I can show you, but they're beautiful cats, but they're only 8.5 months old, and I think Jasper is 11 pounds right now, but they've got these big, huge, poofy tails. And Juno, the little girl, she's much smaller. She's more like she's the size of our regular cats already, but they're 8.5 months old. So but they like to get into things far more than any cats we've ever had. So there's just no way I want to have magnets around. So and I used to never put magnets in my kits either because I didn't know where they were going and if anybody had small children or small pets. Not a good idea. Um, it's just a personal thing on my part. If you want to use magnets, absolutely on stuff. There's plenty of things on these that you could use. Um, so okay, I'm just looking real quick. I haven't been reading. So okay. But as you know, I love doing all of these, and I keep getting off camera, and I apologize. This camera setup I have now, it needs to go higher, but I've got it up as high as it will go. So I've got to figure out something. Um, so because it just gets a little too tight and intense down here. But I love doing little ways of closing little flaps. So like this closes where there's these little tags down in these little envelopes. So, this tutorial for assembling this book, because we're not going to actually assemble the book, the tutorial for assembling the book is on my website, and there are videos, and I'm breaking videos down rather than it being one big long video. It's in 4 parts, so it's one for the covers, one for the first stack, one for the second stack, and one for actually assembling the book, and then we'll do the embellishment videos via some live streams. I probably will do some others and I'll try to video that. And those will be available on my website under the archives. They'll be here on YouTube, and I'll also have put them in on those exclusive videos for people who purchase the tutorial. So you don't have to go digging around and finding them. They'll all be there, and I'll add those each time we do a video. So you don't have to dig around and find them. But on this first flap of the book, it also has one of those little journal things on this side. So it has pockets on each side of this is part of the cover. And then we get to this first stack, or the left stack. And this starts out, it has a here's the one I did. Well, it uses a 12 by 15 mailing envelope. If you can't find that, I know Pam said she went out today and we couldn't find 12 by 15, so she got 12 by 13. The world won't end. It will work. And you can, go through and tweak and flip things around and substitute with what you have available. But the stack just has all of these parts in it. And then, so this will go from this and it will become this. Now this, as I said, this is using my digital papers, and it's done in a more traditional matted fashion. So this envelope just has paper matting on it. I divided it so that it fit a couple of tags in it, that sort of thing. So you really get to decide just how it is that you want to do it. If you want to do it in a more traditional fashion, the way this is, where I've got the 1/8 inch around it, and you can do it that way. If that's what makes you comfortable to do, by all means, that's the way to go. If you want to be a little bit more loose and free, not everybody likes that. And I'm kind of a hybrid. I'm not this super slapping paint around kind of person. I like a little bit more control than that. But I do like the freedom of kind of doing whatever I want to do on that. And we'll talk about that here in just a sec. Let me just run through this real quick. Oh, the website. Well, Lois just told me the website was lovely. Well, I haven't updated the website in a long, long, long time. So that's one of the things that's going to be coming up too. I just have so much to I'm just bursting with all these things that I want to tell you, and we only have 2 hours, and you didn't come to just hear me chat. So, um, one of the things on the website is it will be revamped. As many of you know, I tried Teachable. That was a flippin' disaster because they bait and switched me, and I'm just not going to go further onto that. And then I was on a different platform, and then I realized, why this is kind of crazy. Why am I paying for a platform when I can do the same thing on my website? So, Carol, my webmaster, after here, now that the first of the year is here, we're going to be putting on, basically it's like one of those the teaching platforms for the video tutorials, video courses. I will have that as integrated as part of my website. So any of the tutorials for purchase will be on that platform. I'm not sure if any of the free ones can be on there or not. I'm not sure if we can do both. So I'll keep you posted on that. But also, all of those paid tutorials that I have on my website now, if you're part of those, they're going to get transferred into that over the next several months, and you will still have access to all that. So, and anybody who is on any of the two other platforms, those things will all get uploaded into the new platform. It's just, it all takes time. So, and I don't want to overdo. So, um, yeah, I looked over Ball Craftworks. I started out on Etsy a billion years ago, and it didn't work for me either. So that's when I started my website, because I also need to integrate my quilting patterns into the website as well. So that's all that stuff's coming up. One thing to be aware of here on my YouTube, I will be doing paper crafting videos, but I'll also be doing some quilting videos, and which is why I changed the name of my YouTube channel from Following the Paper Trail, which it was for years, to Laura Denison Designs, because I want it to be a little more broad so that it can cover everything. So anyway, I'm talking too much and not showing. This is one of the tags that is part of the paper collection, but there's all sorts of different things you could do for tags. So again, another closure, and it's got, you know me, I love my real estate. So, and these things you can have little quotes on them, you can have little pieces of artwork, all that kind of stuff. Or you can do like I have here, and using embellishments that come with a paper collection, create your own. So all sorts of little places for things to tuck in and pockets. And of course it's envelopes, because, you know, I love my envelopes. Dividing the big one, the flap becomes a pocket. Am I off camera? Yeah, probably off camera. This thing is cumbersome. Whoops. No, that way, that far. Okay. So it's got pockets for days. Again, this is on the cover, the back cover. So these are a pass-through pocket. I can roll this one up. And now we're to the second stack. And again, it's got tuck places for goodies and tags and more tags and more tags and a flap and more tags. See, I get off of camera. And so this envelope has tag in it, flips down. This one out of my paper, I've just, cut a little pocket out of it. And then on this side, we've got another thing where a little closure, and these guys hinge down and they're tags inside the pockets. And that flips up. Tie that close, and we got more tags in an envelope, and more tags and more tags and another tie and a tag and more tags and more tags and tags. That's that one. And then that rolls on top of that. And then we've got this guy here, And this flips up and flips up and flips up and flips up. And guess what? There's a tag in there. So we got tags and tags and tags for days. So anyway. And that is the book. Now, as you saw, I was having to shuffle this back and forth and back and forth because it is about 3.5 feet long when it's all assembled. So my suggestion is while we are putting this puppy together, and we're going to start out with our 2 different stacks, and we're going to embellish the stacks before we attach them into our cover. Because we've got our cover, which goes on for days and days and days. And so we'll embellish the cover and the pockets that are attached to parts of the cover. And we'll embellish our 2 different stack sections. And then we'll put the book all together, because just working with this is way easier than working with it all assembled together. Trust me on this. So it will make life way easier to just be working from this part. All right. What do you do with these after you've made it, or is it an art of making, and then it becomes a shelf pretty page? If you, Mary, if with these, they do become kind of shelf pretty. For me personally, it's a process of creating the book, and with the art journaling kind of things, they do just a lot of them. Let's see, where's one that I can. Here, let me grab this one. This is actually one that I taught. That was the other thing that happened this year. I taught at a. Did I just? There. I taught at a mixed media retreat in Portland this past spring, last April. So live in-person teaching again. It was so cool. I love that. And it was soon after that my mom got sick and stuff. So, but I taught this book there. Now, this book was based on, for those of you who've been around for a very, very long time, and I don't have that sample of the original one, but those of you who remember, what was it called? Okay, my brain just completely went blank. This is what happens these days too, is my brain just goes, nope, I'm not pulling that one up. I was out till 2:30 in the morning. We went to a Heart concert in downtown Seattle, right next to the Space Needle. They shoot off fireworks at midnight at the Space Needle. It took us an hour and 45 minutes to get out of the parking garage. So I'm a little loopy because I didn't get enough sleep. But this was, it had zoo animals was one version, and another version with fairies. Oh, what was that one called? Does anybody recall? Oh, yeah, but this one is done. It was based on one of my old scrapbook patterns. And so now this is done in more of an art fashion, a little bit of journaling type things in it, has some journaling pages. Nothing's been put on them, just like photos. I haven't written anything, but journaling doesn't have to mean writing. So, but it's done in the same, the format of the pages is exactly the same. It just doesn't look like it. But here where I've taken, there's specific pages and less journaling type thing. And here's where I've taken and just made it more artsy. You know, it's got stenciling and painting and stuff like that, and fun ways of, but it's still got, tags. So, but just fun ways of doing things inside. that's more visual and less the photographs kind of thing. Um, and that's what I want to be doing with my books in the future. If you want to do this more junk journal style of books, do that. If you want to do things that are much more traditional scrapbooking, add photos type books, you can do that, and you can use the exact same tutorial to do that. And that's what my point is on that. So, yeah, what was that one called? Here's where I found some flashcards, at the antique store. I bet I squeal when I find things at the stores. And then I text Pam. So, so there's got spaces, and then it's got a little bit of, I can add a few pages of that kind of junk journal type thing, but it's not overwhelming by having 40 of them. So, oh God, that's just killing me. What is that one called? But this one has 3 signatures in it, essentially, which is essentially 3 pages, or 3 sections of pages. But you can just have fun playing with, I did some stitching, and this is, it's got some papers that were done on a gel plate, and it's got some tape, and it's got pens, and it's got stenciling, and it's just fun to kind of play with, stuff, because y'all know we all just scroll through Instagram and through Pinterest and get more ideas than we can ever do. So you can do some of that stuff and play with it on these. I did paper dolls, and that was before everybody was doing paper dolls. So, but this is one that I am going to put this book out as a tutorial. Exactly the way this is, because like I said, I taught it, and then I was supposed to write it up, and because with my mom's situation, I didn't. But this is using a binding that I developed for my journal books. Oh, can I get this out? My other thing that I'm into, which I can't get that untied, but these all untied so that each of these sections can come out. They completely remove, so then you can embellish each section and then put it back in. So, and when I do this tutorial, that'll all be in there. So, oh, I like this part, doing this part. What I don't like is when I have a book. This one. This is one of my journal books. I love doing all this stuff. I have a cool binding that I developed for the journaling, but then when I get inside, look at how many pages. Are you kidding me? It's just like, and I want to embellish all those. That's a whole heck of a lot of pages. Because let's see, one signature is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. 26 pages times, I have 5 signatures in this book. That's like what, 130 pages? So I'm like going, yeah, that's too many. And it's just like, you too many. So that's why I'm like going, that's why, if you notice, the book is completely done on the outside, but I haven't done doodle on the inside other than whatever I had already done on some of the papers before I put them in. And I've used some scrapbooking paper and some book paper and stuff, but I haven't done anything to the inside because that's just too many for my taste. I can't. So I love doing the books, but I don't like that many pages. So I like in this book, I love doing this style of embellishing, and that's what we're going to do on this next book. I love doing this. Love, love, love doing this. But this is a whole lot less pages stuff to do than 130 pages in that journal. That was what my point is on all of this. So yeah. So that's where we are with all of that. And I keep wiggling my table and it moves my camera. Yeah, I'm married. That's exactly. It's eternally empty. You know, and I might get 2 or 3 pages done, and then my attention span, which is like a gnat, moves on. I want to do the next project. You know, so anyway, all right. So what we are going to be doing, and we're already, you know, let's see, I'm doing this 1 to 3. We're already, 45 minutes in, and I've done nothing but blather on. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I recognize a lot of the names here. And those are just the ones that are chatting. I don't even know how many people are here right now. So we got 42 watching right now. You know, New Year's Eve, I used to have 1,000. So I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. I got 42 today. So, but for those of you who've been, I don't even remember. See, my thoughts just went out the window. I don't remember what I was talking about. So, what we're working on today, as I said, I'm keeping my stack sections, and these are the ones that we're going to actually be decorating on. I don't have everything cooked down yet. For those of you who have the tutorial already, I talk about not necessarily attaching some parts down until after you've done something to the pages. And so I just paper clip them on. I just have my stack base glued down and stuck down. But here I've used some pages that I've eco dyed. And this is watercolor paper and still the large envelope and some envelopes that are eco dyed. And on the second one, this is what all the stack is. See, this amount, this is doable. 130 pages, not quite so much. So and this is, again, using some eco dyes and watercolor paper and mixed media paper and different kinds of envelopes. And so we'll embellish that. So, and then the big thing then is for your next steps for doing this is kind of, you can do it completely and totally hodgepodge, just like whatever strikes your fancy, which it's a little harder to kind of keep a level of maintaining that going. So what I like to do is kind of come up with just a theme. It can be broad or narrow, depending on what you want to use your book for. But and then I just start gathering from what I have, because these things can, and you get a basket and you put it all in the basket, and then you have 2 baskets, and then you find a 3rd basket. Because if you're like me, you have all of this stuff that you've been gathering for years because you just had to have it. But now what do I do with it all? So I just start, if I think I might want to use it, I just throw it in the basket. And maybe you have a couple of things, a couple of different ideas, and then you can choose from them. So I just take an hour or so and just kind of go through my stuff and throw it in the basket. That way you don't have to go, oh, wait, where is that? When you're, I thought I saw that. Where did I see that? So I just start throwing stuff in. One of the things, with this on the top, I set this so I can let you know what this is. Um, I have taken something black and white, and I printed it onto black cardstock. So it was just black and white, so it was black. So what's black on here would be black, because black cardstock, this is not super, super black, but you can print black on black. And look how cool that is. You can find all sorts of stuff that's black and white to print on black, and you can even take just, a bunch of typewritten stuff and print it onto black cardstock, and it's going to give you a kind of cool look. So, one of my other favorites, and I threw this on top, this is paper that they use. You get it at the hardware store. It's paper that they put, it's got I don't know what it's got, a coating to it, but it's used in construction. And they put it on as a protectant. In fact, my husband stole part of my roll when we had to do some repair work on the back of our house this summer. So, but I just grab bits and pieces of things, or smaller paper collections that I'm thinking this one, I want it to be kind of more of one of these kind of nature journal type books. So here's some Tim Holtz papers, and here's 49 and Market. I love 49 and Market stuff, and they have die cuts and all sorts of goodies and stuff. And it doesn't have to be huge pieces. It doesn't have to be 12 by 12, but I also have some 12 by 12. This one is a really cool one, Crafto clock. I go up to Canada to get this stuff. And it has some fun stuff and then I have some old collection pads. That's all in grays and stuff. So might use some of that. You can also use some of in your stacks. Some of those pages can be out of. Okay, sorry. I'll get rid of the stripe because that was making the camera go kind of weird. So these are just some loose papers that kind of fit color-wise and thematically and stuff like that. Same sort of things that I would gather if I were doing a junk journal, and just pull those stuff all together and be able to use those. And then we get down to this layer. This was a 6x6 pad. We used this on a project a long time ago, but I love, it's all come apart, but I love all of these papers that are in here. You could use, so these are like pre-printed papers. You could also grab things like where you've taken papers and you've done things with gel prints. You can use book papers that you stencil on, or parts out of old ledgers. You can use magazine parts. I threw in, because there's a couple of, I thought these kind of fit die cut wise. For all those tags, Tim Holtz has all these cool little sets that's got tags in it, and things like that. This is one of my digital paper collections. It's one of the small ones. That's all bugs. So it's like, and it's got tag sizes and it's got larger sizes, but it's all bugs. So that seems like that'll work perfect as well to combine in here with some of this other stuff. Good old Seven Gypsies. Oh, I miss Seven Gypsies. Precursor to all of Tim Holtz stuff. And, so then I've got just these old bits and pieces of tags and bits and pieces of trims from old projects or kits. And just, if you think you might, stamps, whatever you think, that goes in the stamp thing. So any of the stuff that you think, oh, this might really work, old photo type stuff. Another one of my digitals that could potentially work. So I threw some of those in. Some more of, the Tim Holtz tags comes in different sizes and stuff. Some of these little guys, which are cute. The windows and things, Tim Holtz's stuff. I like his stuff. I'll just put it at that. So there's leather and velvets and fabrics and stuff, goodies, all that. So you just kind of start a gathering box, is I guess a good way to put it, and just start throwing stuff in as you kind of, and then you can go through it and maybe eliminate stuff that, yeah, this doesn't really fit with what I want to do. But start gathering stuff together so that you have it kind of more in one place so that you have it ready to go, unless you want to spend more time digging for stuff than for actually doing it. So, and then I have another basket here. So this basket has more embellishments, but it also has stamps. And here's more tags that were from, who knows how long ago this is from. It doesn't have a date. Oh, 2015. And then we've got these old Prima. I love all these buttons in the house. Some of these stamps have turned really yellow. But these old tag things, and you can use some of that stuff. Maybe you have leftovers from old kits and stuff like that. So, some of the more generic type of embellishments. A lot of these are Tim stuff. If you want to have photograph type people, you can use his paper dolls stuff. There's frames, and some die cuts, and then stamps and such that might fit in and work. So dies that would work. So just start gathering goodies up that just might work, these little pads and things. So I just like to kind of gather them all together, and then I have a whole nother one that we just that I need to go through and pulled out what I might want out of that. So we've got all this space for all these tags, so pulling some stuff together to that could get applied to tags. But you can also make your own stuff. You don't have to use embellishments. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. If you have things like I have too many of, pull those in. And then, I keep all of my paints and watercolors and all that kind of stuff nearby so that I can play with that and start putting those in. So I don't know if this makes I'm not used to talking so much anymore, so I'm hopefully not rambling too much. But does anybody have any quick questions before after I spent the first hour just blathering? So this is always the hardest part for me, is asking the question and then having to wait for the answer. Yeah, taking it all in. That's a good phrase for it, Pam. It's just taking it all in. All right, so I figure we can start. I was thinking I wanted to start with stack one. I don't know. I'm thinking I might want to. This big old piece, just for the very first thing that slaps you in the face, feels a little intimidating. So I'm thinking maybe we're going to start with stack two. It's got a little bit smaller pieces and parts to it. It might not be so overwhelming. And I have a really fun idea of how to fix this envelope too. So we might just start doing that. Oh, Chris Craft, you guys are all making me feel so good. As Pam can attest to. Um, Part of my coming out of this black hole that I was in, one of the things that happened as I kind of the ideas started flooding back, and to be perfectly honest, it was a bit overwhelming, and I couldn't seem to find a direction of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. But I also had a really significant issue with imposter syndrome. of thinking I wasn't good enough to be doing this, that nobody would really want to see it anymore. They've moved on, they've gone elsewhere. They really, nobody wants to see it. So I have struggled with that probably more than anything else um, recently. So it really makes me feel really good when people say things like you're glad that I'm back, and I feel like I'm back probably more than I have in a very long time. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. So yeah, I also have this nifty little this is just all little fabric bits and scraps. And this is going to get really a whole lot worse because I'm doing a lot of fabric fodder stuff because I'm doing more artsy fartsy type quilt stuff. I meant to bring a couple of those in. I might go run and grab those towards the end and show you what some of my mixed media quilt stuff looks like too. So 2024 is going to be a year. It's going to be a consequential year in history, but it's going to be a good one. So yeah. And we're just not going to go any further than that. Okay, let's use this piece. This is what I was looking for. This stuff. This is exactly what I wanted. Okay. But one thing junk album making will do is it turns you into a hoarder to where you don't throw anything away. I mean, in here, is anybody with like a dog recognize what this is? On some dog food packages, this would fold over and it had a chain stitch that you would pull. That's it. Just I love the color of this red and the texture of this paper. So yeah, I kept it. So yeah, yeah, you tend to hoard. You tend to hoard. So anyway, all right. What I wanted. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one. And as I said, I don't have all the envelopes and stuff attached down just yet, because I wanted. This is watercolor paper, so I might do some little bit of watercolor on it. But what I want to start with is, okay, I have this really, I love this, but when I did the echo dyeing of it, and these were eucalyptus leaves on there, I just get them at the grocery store. And there's 5 billion videos for doing echo dyeing on YouTube. So I'm not going to do my own video for it. It's tea and a little bit of rusty things in there and some cool leaves, and it can be super simple. This is just a cheapo envelope, and it's like it becomes, oh my god, this is so precious now. But doing echo dyeing, it's fun and you get some cool colors and it gives you that old vintagey grungy kind of look. But because it involves water and paper, sometimes things like that happen. The other thing is when you do envelopes and things like that with the echo dye is the glue comes loose. But I want to do a little bit of kind of a repair work on this because I love having that kind of ripped and torn. And I don't want to just slap something on the back, but I am going to take and put some of this gauzy fabric kind of onto the back, because then when we flip it over, that little bit of gauziness shows through there. And then I think I might do a little bit of hand stitching. So it's kind of a mending kind of thing look to it. So it's, whoops. Don't lose my lid. It's an opportunity to do something fun rather than, I'm just going to chop that end of the envelope off because it's messed up or something. So I'm just going to put up some little bit of glue kind of right around the edge of the mended section, the torn section. Now, one of the things when I'm doing these things on these Friday night streams is they're going to be totally fly by the seat of my pants. I'm not going to plan things out far in advance. They're going to just be whatever strikes us at, that time. So while I may plan to be working on a specific project like this one, we don't know what might hit us and we might do something different. So one of the things of doing stuff like this is there's less of a sense of needing to make it, to make it as perfect, or, trimming it exactly straight. See, now I got this little piece. Don't throw this away. This is like, this can go on the top of a tag. So, welcome to Hoarding 101. If you're just arriving. So, because there's going to be stuff going down inside this envelope too, I just want to, oops. But, nothing has to be perfect and straight. Let it go kind of thing. So then I'm going to take, and just grab some washi tape stuff. It's on the inside. It's not going to really show, but I don't want it to be ugly either. So, wait. See, the pants is the most fun. Yeah, no, and it really does show you that, hey, I most definitely goof up. Oh, like just now. I put washi tape down with glue stick because washi tape stickum is not very stickum. And it was funny, and I didn't like washi tape until I took, in 2019, I think it was, I took a class up in Vancouver with Seth Apter, and he would use washi tape, and he'd put glue stick down first, and it was kind of one of those light bulb, well, duh, why didn't I ever think to do that? Now I love washi tape because now I glue stick it down. So, but because I'm going to be putting tags in here, I need some new glue sticks. The Oohoo ones are not available at Blick, so I got to order some, and I don't like the Blick ones. So these are a little too gooey for me. But I'm taping this, like I said, this is on the inside, so it won't show. But because I have tags going in there, I need to have it to where it's not gonna mess up what I'm doing or putting the tag in and out. I don't want it to screw up the whole project though. Okay, so this side, trim this. I'm gonna leave the fabric hanging out because I kind of like how that looks. Because when I fold my thing back up and that goes underneath, see that little foo-foo? Got that little foo-foo there. That little furry thing comes out. But see how cool that this Oh, and now I just want to do some stitching on it. And let's see, where is that one box of, where did it go? Okay. Yeah, we'll use this. I had a fun box of just, I have every color of DMC floss because I had to have it. But I also have these. These are Aurifil threads. So what kind of color? Let's go shooty green. Or rusty. Blue. Oh, let's go with the blue. Aurifil is my absolute favorite thread for stitching, for sewing. And then I saw these on half price sale. These are heavier weight, more embroidery floss type weight. Now, does she have a needle? That's the next tricky answer. And the answer is yes, she does. Stitching on machine, also fun thing to do. But, you know, this hand stitching, slow stitching, whatever they call it, all these things that, dang, I've been doing all that stuff for a million years. So everything I love to do is in and cool right now. Yeah, I could have my own store for sure. I did. See, my problem was the other way around, Candy, with the border being closed. Is one of my favorite places to go to get paper crafting supplies is up in west of Vancouver. So it was like, oh, I almost cried when I was able to go back up there. I'm just going to leave the knot hanging out because I like it. Now, you can punch the paper through first if you want. Or you're going to start, and you just stitch just like you're stitching on anything. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be fancy. And I'm just going to stitch. You can do it on your machine if you want. Just if you're going to stitch paper on your machine, if you're going to stitch fabric again later, make sure you change your needle. Because paper dulls down a sewing machine needle really fast. So I'm going to do a little X there. And you can do this out of a different color. I also think what I want to do before I keep stitching on this, and do I have any water in here? Of course not. Not clean water anyway, so we'll use a ratty brush that I don't really care. Got some yucky water that I have not gone and cleaned out. I want to throw a little color on here. It's kind of a muddy yellow. Can pick up some of that yellow in there, so give a little color along that edge, maybe enhance it a little bit. Watercolors are a fun way to throw a little color in. So just give it just that little hint of color and maybe blah, blah. Splatter makes everything better, always. I love me a good splatter. A heat tool. See, now we've taken what was kind of a little bit of it was like a boo-boo that happened to my envelope, and now we're turning it into something cool by highlighting it rather than trying to make it go away. I got some cool stuff for Christmas, and I haven't played with these at all yet. So I got some new I'm into pastels right now. They're so fun. It's a very good color in there. I got 3 boxes of them. Pastels are pure pigment. Oh my god, I love pastels. I love the color. Come on, go with it. Yeah. We're just gonna add a little touch of color, a little bit more, just to kind of. Just so fun. Oh, these things are just yummy. I just want to slurp them up. And I just rub it in with my finger. Just give it, see, let's just give it, see how that's just giving it. We're just turning it into celebrating, the celebrating the what happened to the paper naturally, what paper does. Paper and water don't always mix in a way that's, conducive to the survival of the paper. So I can just do, this is the part that had folded back on itself, so I'm going to give it some X's. If you don't want to use thread and give it the texture from the thread, you could do this with just a marking pen of some sort and make stitches that way. Ouch. And you stab yourself, and try not to bleed on your project whenever you stab yourself. What kind of pastels were those? Oh, those are, these are just, these are Jack Rickson. These are nice pastels. I discovered there's an art supply store north of Seattle that all they do have is pastels. You just want to They're just so nummy. They're just so nummy because pastels are pure pigment with not much of a binder in them. Oh, this one's my favorite one. This is Darks and Brights. These are my Christmas presents. Look at these yummy. Just turn this way. Look at those. Look at this. Oh. I get excited about. I love color. I love playing with color. I do. I love it. I love it. I love it. After I sit here and have a love fest with my. But doing this, I like spending a lot of time doing the detail. Yeah, we've done a little bit of fun stuff with messy and things like that, but taking time to slow down and maybe do things like put a little stitch around it. If we don't get a whole page done, guess what? It's all good. We're fine. It's okay. This is time for you to do just kind of what you want to do. If you would rather be, this is just like you look at this and you go, that is not within my wheelhouse. And that's fine. So you can do what it is that's comfortable for you. I'm just excited to be able to do this again. And take the time and just well, I committed. I made the hole, so it's not where I really wanted it to be. Yeah, spending time with friends. This is what I miss, is having that community and that camaraderie and sense of that. Whether you learn something or not is not necessarily as important to me. I miss that community sense, that being that chance to all be together and enjoy just each other. So the world is crazy and polarized and all that stuff right now, but we all need to just start coming together a little bit more. So I'm not doing anything fancy. It's very messy and just kind of, what's wrong way? It's just kind of messy and haphazard, but that's totally fine. Ouch. I just stabbed myself again. Mickey, I am by no means an expert at pastels. I just like to play with them, and I like to use them in weird ways. Like I like to use them for things like this. I don't actually do actual drawings with pastels just yet, but I do know there are a lot of incredible pastel artists that have classes. So, what I show you on some of that kind of stuff, I'm just showing you how I use them to play. So. So I'd like to get this envelope done. We got 35 minutes, so I'm stitching fast here, peeps. I see, throwing that little bit of color on there, I've now justified the fact that I am completely and totally not only into pastels right now, but I'm into doing watercolor again, which I haven't done in millions and millions of years. And I'm having so much fun with it. So I can justify having bought ridiculously stupid amounts of watercolors lately. So that I shouldn't have, but oh, look what I did. Oops. Okay. I wasn't paying attention. So part of sewing is unsewing. How much more do I have to take out? And I'll just stitch it back into the same holes. See, that's about the same point that I got the pastels out. See, I got distracted. Okay, let's fold that back up out of the way. So I'll have to do stitching on around that little thing too. When I do the little repair on it, I'll have to stitch in the same holes. So, all right, well, that wasn't too bad. And now I have a blueprint for where I'm going. Just follow the holes. Thought it was kind of seemed a little thick to be stitching, but you know, hey. Y'all said you like to see me goof up. Well, I pretty much do it pretty much every. The only thing we're missing so far is a Trevor stop. Pop in. He's doing well. He's both kids still here at home because I can't afford to move out for one thing. But they're both still in school. Sarah's getting a degree in marketing. She should be done by summer. Trevor, I think, will be done by about next Christmas. He's getting his degree in history. I'm learning more about history than I ever thought I would, and it's been fascinating. And potentially he wants to go on to law school after that. Now, I will be hitting y'all up here probably in the next few months because Trevor's going to be starting a history channel on YouTube. And I'm going to beg for people to follow him and like so he can get the algorithm working in his favor. And you might learn something along the way. You don't even have to watch if you don't want to. It's fine. But he's pretty good at this stuff. Whenever I edit papers, I'm always massively impressed. It's like, dang, dude, you're pretty good at this. But they both are doing online school because that's how they started. So they're just sticking with that. Oh, Mickey, we will get you hooked up with him. Oh, wow, Candy. Oh, but she found herself a boy over there, too. This is easier when that was folded over with that piece, but that's okay. Let's see if I can do more of a running stitch. Make this go a little faster. That sort of works. I'm sure some of you are going, I didn't plan on sitting watching Laura sit and stitch on a ratty old envelope, but here we are. You asked for it, you got it. That's going to be hard though, having your child not just away from home, but in a different country. And I'm not sure what that kind of certification is, but I have a feeling it's probably something pretty cool. Okay, I'm getting lower on the thread. Wrap it up here, Laura. It's just a different stitching like this. It's just a different form of making marks, of, you know, putting literally your mark on this. You know, somebody else stitching it would, or just doing the quote unquote mend or repair to this envelope, could potentially do it some, you know, fashion that's completely different from what I'm doing. And, you know, it's no way is the right way and no way is the wrong way. It's, you know, I didn't know that this was what I would be doing in class today. But like I said, this is more about, less about teaching and more about just gathering together. You know, the teaching videos for like putting the book together and stuff, those are much more, this is how you do this. This is how big this needs to be. This is how you attach this. This is what you do here. You know, this is more just, we're just getting together and playing. Happy New Year to Australia too. There, Kim. Almost there. Stabbed myself again. And we'll probably just end up with a big knot right there. Oh, it actually worked out. Okay, and I like to leave my strings hang out a little bit. Let's untwist it. Seeing that little, adds a little more floofy-doofle to it. It looks so swanky with the leopard inside. You won't ever see that leopard, but we know the leopard's inside. There's the leopard. So, okay. So now we need to do a little repair on this guy. It doesn't really need the fabric behind it. I think I'm just going to put the washi tape behind it. We'll use the Uhu, but it's blue. I don't like the blue ones, but that's all I can. Oh, no. Oh, that's a white one. Oh, no, it was a blue one, but the magic blue ones, if you let them sit long enough, they turn white. Not as stringy as the other one was. Oh my goodness. I have the hockey game on just without any sound, and I just looked up to see what the score is. Seattle is beating Vegas 3-0. Wow. Any Vegas fans out there? Sorry, haha. But I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. So, okay, I'm going to use a different color thread now. So that was fun with the kind of bluey gray, but I want something a little more to it. So we'll go back to the rusty one. No, you do not have to have anything prepared for today. We kind of walked through the album a bit more earlier before you were able to. You can go back and you'll be able to watch. And we're just kind of playing at this point. This is an envelope that's going on the second stack, and I will be to just kind of review for those of you who came in late. I'm going to make the attempt and to start doing Friday nights again. We're going to start out with the second and fourth Fridays to begin with. I think having some sort of a more of a schedule for myself is better, but I'm not going to hold myself to it super rigidly just because I don't want to. And if there's just a day I don't really feel like doing it, I won't. So, part of what threw me into my creative burnout was doing too much, too often for not always the best reasons. And I let myself get pushed into it too often, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm not. So I got to use some of these same holes that we punched before, which is fine. Oh, I like this kind of coppery color. And I don't know why I'm stitching this. This is not what I really envisioned doing on this, but that's what struck me as at the moment. But when I pulled this envelope out and I said, ooh, I want to do a mending thing on this envelope. And I don't know, this is what's coming out. So it's what we're doing. I'm trying to read at the same time. I'm out of practice. Yeah, the video tutorial that I have up on my website shows you how to put all the different pieces and parts of the book together. And then you can embellish it to however works for you. And that's what the live shows I will be doing. I'll also do some parts in video because otherwise it would take us till 2025 to do it at this rate as I'm doing one envelope here. But I will try to do some video stuff too for parts. But the main thing that I want people to kind of take away from this is that you can do with your books whatever works best for you. So if you want to do traditional style of bookmaking, scrapbooking, go for it. That's totally and completely fine to do. If you want to do a little bit more fussy, weird, artsy fartsy like I'm doing right now, you can do that too. Either way works. Whatever. Well, that pulled that all super tight, and then my knot's way the heck up there. Let's see if I can make this work. Sort of. Just won't come up in that same hole. We'll come up next to it a little bit more so that I can just cut my thread and leave it hanging out there. And, you know, if you don't like the messy style of this one, then you do it the other style, and that's totally fine. But back to what I was saying, the tutorial has, I forgot to go over this. It has in it the information for your supply list, cutting stuff, and then it has scoring and pre-assembly. And don't let this freak you out. Everything that's on this sheet, I go over that on the videos. And there's 4 videos currently. There's the one for doing your covers and the pockets and such that attach to the covers. There's one for the left stack or stack number 1. There's one for the right stack or stack number 2. And then there's one for putting the books together. Currently, it has the overview video that I have up on YouTube publicly. I'm going to do another more detailed walkthrough video that will get put in there. And then all of these videos, I will go ahead and put in link into the list as well. For those of you who can access those, who purchased the tutorial, you can access those. I'll have those available to where, so you don't have to go looking for them. They'll also be available publicly for like this one will publicly be available on my channel. And I'll also link it into my archives so that you can access it from my website. You can access it from YouTube, or if you purchase a tutorial, you can access it with the rest of the videos so that you don't have to go searching around for it. So. Thank you, Mickey. It's good to see you again. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's support. You guys have all been so awesome. I honestly, as I was talking about before, I honestly thought people were going to go, yeah, sorry, I'm kind of over her. So I appreciate everybody's overwhelming support. All right, see how that kind of, where's my camera? See how that kind of is fun is I go from this kind of bluish gray and then it kind of finishes up. Yeah, is it a little messy? Is it a little bit like, okay, why is she so excited about this? Because I just think it just gives it kind of a fun thing with it. So I'm going to close the whole envelope down and I slice it, but which is what I'm supposed to have happen with that. But I don't know. I might leave it to where this one has a flap so that I can closure it. But, or if I do, maybe I just, oh, it looks too much like a little Patucci. There, now I could potentially seal it closed and it kind of is open around it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Here, let's, oh, there's a more foofy piece. What if he, that's cool. Let's do that. Let's do that. Where'd my glue stick go? Apparently, I did. Just put this little, see? That's why I don't throw any of these little scrappy doodle pieces apart away, because they were cool. See, I just kind of gave him some eyelashes. So let me hit up the edge. I still have a little bit of paint still on my little cup to give it a little. Okay, let me just kind of tie that edge in. Let's cut my door. Because see where this one is going. Here, I can show you on this other. See where we are is this envelope here. So this is, I mean, I'm spending all this time on this back side, and that's hardly going to show. So that's going to go like right there. And so this little eyelash thing will show a little bit there. See, and I'm supposed to put another one on then on this side. I'm like going, we might do something a little bit different. Because I want that part to show. What might we do? That's what we're going to do. Okay, so I didn't really need to do that there. Because if I'm going to turn that into the hinge, so I'm thinking, so this is the one I'm going to put on the inside. So I'm thinking, what if we attach this here? And this, rather than it being to where we slice it open and it just slaps on there and cover that up. And it's open at the top. Or we could attach it there and that could just open. But then we have a pocket on this side, so it doesn't want to do it that way. But if we do it this way, so we get this cool, and then we can put something up here, and then this opens, and we still have a little piece of envelope there. So that shows, but then if this hinges like that, I like that better. See, that's just an option of what we can do rather than having it like on this one. See, whereas this is just a pocket. And then it's a pocket over here. It's a double pocket on this side. So rather than it gluing down, because it's not that it's you know, you can see in there, that's taped down. So it's not like it's forming a pocket. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we need to do a little something around here. Let's put a little floof or something on there. Let's dig in my little bag of tricks over here. I said that there for a second while I find what I'm looking for. Oh, wait, I have it somewhere else. I have another package of it. I know exactly what I'm looking for. Up here. The little bowl of goodies. Of tiny goodies. Little tiny goodies. There's a little tiny butterfly. little numbers. Oh, where's that piece of I just got some cool watercolors. And I felt really weird when I got here, and I didn't realize they were from Russia. I felt kind of weird about it at first. But this little tag thing, it's all in Russian. I don't, I'm just talking about watercolors, but I kept it so it could go in this little bag of goodies. Okay, so this is going to go this way. So this can go on here like so, maybe. So that little doodle wop looks intentional on this back side. And I don't like that. It's too big. I like that number. Let's grab a piece of little. I have a cart that sits next to my desk. Well, not all the time, but part of the time sits next to my desk. And it is just got all my little scrap bits. See, that looks cute there. So let's do that. Give a little inky around the edge here. One of the things nice about YouTube these days that they didn't have back in the old days is now that the chat records too. So when you come back, you can. Because it used to be I'd just be blathering on, and people would be like, "What is she talking about?" when they watch the video back and they couldn't see the chat. Now the chat records too, or you can set it to record, and I do. I wanted that little bit of bop of the. It's got a little bit of the coppery color, but it's also got some little purpley tone in there too. Now he's going to get squished, but by curling up his wings a little bit, he doesn't go completely flat. He just gets close to flat. See, just adding that little little detail so that when it attaches down to here, and I might actually end up stitching this down. It's just going to be on this side. I might end up stitching this down with my machine, but this is watercolor paper, so I might do something on there. So let's just keep decorating this envelope. This guy's going to go on the back side, so he still gets clipped on there, so I don't get everybody confused as to where they go. So now I can go ahead and glue my envelope back into an envelope. That's because this glue all released when I echo dyed these. See, we're almost got that guy. So, we didn't get very far. I stitched on an envelope and added a butterfly. But that'll attach there. I'm going to do something up here. So then I can have something that goes inside. But then this is going to flip up this way. And so then we have, all of this goodiness here. And we can do something up on here. Now, chances are what I'll end up doing is I'll do whatever I'm going to do up here and on this back side. And I won't film the process necessarily, but I'll go ahead and post. I'll do a quick video once I get it and kind of talk my way through what I did on this. And then the other envelope will go on the end. So, I don't get very far very fast doing these. But that's part of what I love about it, is doing it, just taking my time with it. And it's, for me, doing these books has always been about the process, and not so much about what it is, because it evolves, it changes. I could have taken this exact same envelope a week from now, and I probably wouldn't do the same thing to it. We are an amalgamation of everything we do in our lives. And if you just kind of let yourself go, let your brain not think about what you want to do, but rather just kind of let it flow as to what it wants to be. And I know that sounds really woo-woo and all that kind of stuff, but just the hardest part is turning your brain off and just letting yourself let it become what it's supposed to become. And what you would do, and what I would do, and what Chris would do, and what Lois would do, and what Pam would do, everybody's is different because we're all coming from different places. Yours doesn't have to be the same as mine. What I try to do is just spark some ideas of like, oh, I didn't think about stitching on that envelope. That's not what I would ever have thought of doing. But it gives you more ideas in your little bag of tricks so that you can pull those out when you need to. But give yourself, and this is something that I have learned over the last several years, is give yourself some grace. I'm not always very good at it. I'm probably my hardest on myself, more harder than anybody can be. But give yourself some grace to just let it happen. Let it become. I don't know if that really makes much sense. It does in my own head, but we spend so much of our time racing and hurrying, and even if it's just for 10 minutes, just sit down, and if it's stitching on an envelope for 10 minutes, give yourself that time to slow down and just enjoy playing. I guess I don't playing is not the exact word I want, but that's the best one I could come up with right at the moment. This New Year's, I said this is I have a lot of quote unquote kind of anniversaries, which really don't have any meaning, but for me they do, and it's helping to spur me to do something like with my quilting. I have my very first quilt that I made when I was in college in 1984. And I'm going to make a quilt that is inspired by that original quilt so that they can hang side by side at a quilt show to show where I was and what I've become and how they're related, but they're different because I'm the same person, but I'm different. Um, I started paper crafting 15 years ago because of my family situation. And it became a huge business that I didn't plan or expect that I had to let go of a lot of to save myself. But that doesn't mean I wanted to let go of wanting to share. And I just have to share more on my terms and not let things get crazy. um, I also am finally come out of a very dark place, and I'm feeling good about that. And I'm feeling healthy about grieving my mom. And this is also going to be, and I'm not going to get political here, but this is going to be a very consequential year in this country. Um, this year will be written about in history books, no matter what your leanings are. And I just want people, the biggest thing I can say in all of that, and this comes with learning so much about history through my son, is pay attention, not to just individual sources, but look at many sources and make your decision based on that. I'm not going to tell you what you should decide or what I should decide or what I'm going to decide, but people need to be paying attention. That's hard to do when it's kind of scary. so, um, but this will be a consequential year on a personal level for all of us, but also on a global level. So we need to take a break from all the craziness every once in a while and slow down. And if that means stitching on paper, stitch on paper. It's okay. Um, my entire life I've used my art and creative spark, has been my respite from whatever goes on. That's why it was so difficult for me when that kind of abandoned me for a bit, because it just felt like I had lost a part of me. So having that back right now has been very important. And yeah, did we get much done today? We stitched on an envelope and a little bit, but you know what? More importantly is we have reconnected. And I think more important than anything else that we can do during this year is make those personal connections with each other. See ourselves, the other people that are around us, as people who have every bit the same wants and desires with their lives. So we've lost during the pandemic, etc. We've lost some of those connections. And I think more than anything, that's what I'm seeking by starting to do these live shows again. I'm still sitting in my room by myself, talking out to the air from the outside. But inside, I'm feeling it's just this really amazing and warm and grateful feeling of reconnecting with everybody once again. And I think that's what we've lost in recent years, and I want to get that back again. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you, as always, to Pam. Oh God, this woman has had to. She's had to reach down into the muck and pull me out a few times. So she's forever. I'm so forever grateful to her. Also to Lois and to Christine for helping also with being my mods. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying not to cry. So it's just it's emotional. Connecting on an emotional level again with people, I think, is really important. And so um thank you again. So I will, whatever date the second Friday is, it's not this coming up Friday, it's Friday of next week. Um, so anyway, everybody have an amazing start to your new year. I just, I don't know, I'm a big believer in listening to my gut, and my gut says this is going to be a good year. This is going to be an amazing year. And whether you participate in the chat or not, I hope you are back and um, participating, even if it's silent participating, just everybody coming together, I think is important. And so, anyway, I look forward to it. I'm crossing my fingers that, there we go. I'm crossing my fingers that it moves forward. And I will be spending, before the next Friday class, I am going to be working on trying to figure out a camera situation. I realize it's been many years since you've actually seen my face on the screen because I haven't been able to switch cameras the way I used to. So, alrighty, guys, thank you so much and love you bunches. And we'll be back. Haven't been able to say that for a while. So bye for now.